So, there doesn't need to be another one of these videos. There's tons of videos on YouTube on why people didn't like Arrested Development Seasons 4 and 5. Many of the included reasons of which were the actors' schedules preventing coherent scenes, the weird murder storylines, the insistent flashbacks, the serialized story, the way too long episodes, Portia de Rossi's wig, Jeffrey Tambor's sexual misconduct allegations complete with interview, you name it, we got it. I think there's one point of reason that never really gets discussed very often, and that's the politics of Arrested Development. Arrested Development is a very political show. It was built to be very political. It premiered in 2003 in the midst of George W. Bush's first term and was produced as a satire of the Bush presidency.
Your protest.
Free speech, though. This is where we're protesting? This isn't right. Where are the cameras?
They're in the free press zone, and if you could save your comments until you're completely loaded into the cage.
His politics.
We want to get back to Russia.
Everything I do is so dramatic and flamboyant. It just makes me want to set myself on fire.
The Bush family, and the generally ignorant upper class who are kept important by the attention of the American people.
I mean, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10?
You've never actually set foot in a supermarket, have you?
I don't have time for that.
While one-to-one comparisons between members of the family are very loose, the general idea of a powerful family, specifically one man, trying to uphold the legacy of the problems his father left him, specifically Middle Eastern problems, while his charmed and societally unbothered family constantly make the headlines, was a popular topic back in the early 2000s.
Arrested Development!
This is the first year Arrested Development has been eligible for the Emmy, and they have received a total of 7 Emmy nominations.
The show itself also made obvious and very specific references to many scandals and events that occurred during the Bush presidency. The war in Iraq and the wealthy family's misunderstanding and mishandling of it. The meetings with Saddam Hussein by Americans in positions of power. The Abu Ghraib scandal. The mission accomplished banner followed by a mission that's clearly not accomplished. The British involvement in the Iraq War.
Therefore, British eyes only.
For British eyes only.
Don't I look kind of British?
The Kanye West George Bush hates black people thing.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
The entire show was filled with events like this that were super topical to an audience watching back in the early 2000s, and yet not super relevant for an audience who picked the show back up later and just found the rest of it super funny.
Oh my god, I have the exact same blouse.
The problem is that these political elements ground much of the show for the viewer, whether subconsciously or not. I believe that a large part of what happened in subsequent seasons, along with everything else, is the transition between political eras, and the subsequent satire just doesn't work well when you've already established what type of show you have. Let me present an example. The beginning of Season 4, which premiered in 2013 in Barack Obama's second term, happens chronologically in 2006, during the Bush administration, the same with the first 3 seasons. There's a storyline about the Bluth parents trying to build a border wall.
To separate the U.S. and Mexico, to keep out the immigrants, which was my idea.
I remember.
The storyline is okay, and it's executed weirdly, but it's interesting because it plays off of George Bush's Secure Fence Act of 2006, its plans to border off Mexico, its prohibitive cost, and the various other environmental and economic issues that arose constructing it. This was also a very interesting satire to include because by 2013, this was not only a topic that encompassed the Bush era, but the Obama era as well. The problem with Season 4 of Arrested Development is that very rarely do any of the storylines encompass the same sort of nuance that take a smack at American politics, let alone find a way to smack 2 presidencies worth of American politics. Of course, a lot is to be blamed on the new structure they had to deal with and the separate story arcs, but the point still stands that there's a hole right in the middle of the block. The show had to juggle so many narrative devices that it forgot the statement it was originally making.
Look what the homosexuals have done to me.
And then the bigger problems came in Season 5. After Season 4, it was made very public that Season 5, premiering in 2018, would be a satire of the Trump administration.
Imagine that we are living in a world where a corrupt real estate magnate can get away with treason while his idiotic children run his empire like puppets. Doesn't that sound crazy?
Many of the parallels work, such as Lindsay's polls going up after mocking a reporter's disability and being caught saying something inappropriate on tape.
He appeared to mock a reporter with a disability. Take a look.
Written by a nice reporter. Now the poor guy, you got to see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
She had her mother mock a reporter who had a speech problem.
This so-called reporter from the Wee Guardian says I was right. Now, suddenly, she's... Perhaps I've recalled incorrectly. I'm positively knackered.
When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy. You can do anything.
Although, remember, this was in 2015, and many of the offensive comments almost seem quaint by today's standards.
Did you get that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The problem is that many more of them don't, because the show has gone through such a strange transition of 15 years worth of political power. Before, the entire premise of the show, the model homes, the lost international files, the war, the association with Iraq and Saddam Hussein, the treason, they were all a sly way to poke a finger at those in contemporary politics. The plot moved forward at the same pace the critique of modern government did. With later seasons, but specifically with Season 5, Arrested Development has carried the weight of these overtly complex storylines that leave political commentary second fiddle. I can't believe I wrote that in my script, second fiddle. There's a whole murder mystery and flashbacks and jailbreaks and court cases. It's a whole soap opera. The politically relevant storylines they do bring back from previous seasons, like the Wall storyline, are very confused by its jump and subsequent recontextualization from Bush era to Obama era to Trump era politics, as are all the storylines from Season 4 and 5.
Beautiful hair. This isn't what it looks like.
Oh, really? Because it looks like a monument to George W. Bush.
They've been kicked out of the only country they've ever known for their whole lives because of the cruelty of your president, Barack Obama.
That's not to say there's no enjoyable aspects to these two seasons. I just wanted to give my 2 cents as to why so many people wonder what feels so different about these 2 seasons.
Somebody say, wonder.